Thank you, everyone. So first things first, since we were told that we were going to have about 6 minutes, that's a little bit hard to get a demo for. So I actually took 3 examples of stuff that I do with myself and also clients, and I want you guys to pick which one to show, because it could only be one out of the 3. So here are the workflows that I created. So, oh, you can't, it's not showing this. So anyway, AI, technology, it sometimes fails. So first things first, I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Rate Partners, right? And I work with accounting, bookkeeping, and financial services firms. And I've been helping TXCPA Houston over the last year and a half with business development, sales, marketing, and of course the conferences. So a lot of you already know me as a photographer, right? Or the videographer. I've interviewed some of you guys, so it's great to see some of the old faces and some of the new faces as well. And the idea is, what I do is build growth systems for firms, develop content and messaging that converts, and then just turn your expertise into a scalable client pipeline. So having said that, those are the 3 workflows that I created. So I would just, with a grace of hands, would love to see which one it is the one that you guys want to see. So the first one is the Excel error hunter. So I work with a lot of databases and I work a lot with Excel, and this helps me a lot just to figure out what goes wrong, right? Everybody that's used Excel, which is basically everyone here, knows that when we start at the beginning and there's an error right there, everything else can fail, right? And sometimes we don't really know what it is. So that's one, the Excel error hunter. The other one, it's a client delivery generator. It's really what it is this is something that I've seen a lot of people have. So we just had a sales call with a client or a prospect, and we've done the research, we've gone back and forth with email, we had the call, and now it's time to create a proposal, come with a strategy brief, even come up with follow-up emails as well, right? And that can take us 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, but sometimes we're so busy that those 2, 3, 4 hours take 2 weeks or 2 months. So that's the other one. And the last one is one that's personally one of my favorites. I have a huge downloads folder where I put everything, and I promise myself that I will organize things, and then I don't. So there's hundreds of files there, and that helps me in 5 to 10 minutes organize every single file into main folders and then subfolders based on the context that Claude already has. And so it saves me hours of actually trying to organize it. So who wants to see number 1? Okay, who wants to see number 2? Okay, and who wants to see number 3? Okay, awesome, that's great. Perfect, that's why I wanted you guys to choose. So in that case, let me open Claude Desktop. So the only thing here is that we do need the desktop app for this because we are gonna use Claude Cowork. So for those of you that you don't know what Claude Cowork is, it's basically a user interface for like Claude Code. So instead of using the terminal and it being all black and us having to do all text, this is a little bit more user-friendly. And so what we do here is Cowork only works in your computer. And I know that's scary for some people, but you can sandbox it. So you can give it the exact folder that you want it to work, and it's only gonna work there. So that's what we're gonna start with. So first of all, you have to download Claude, you have to go to Cowork, you have to sign up with your account. And once you have it, you choose Cowork here, right? And we choose a folder. So here I have this one, to review, actually, let's just go here. So choose a different folder. We go in, so we go to downloads, or whatever it is that you guys have. And for me, it is downloads. So here, unorganized folder. So I'm gonna choose this one, open, yes, allow. So first things first is I'm just gonna tell it to, please tell me how many files I have in this folder and what types there are. So while it does that, I'm just gonna show you the actual folder. So there are 450 items in that folder. And as you can see, there's a lot of CSVs, pictures, documents, all over the place, PDFs, etc. So the first thing that this is going to do is, okay, so in under a minute, it says you have 450 items total, which I just showed you, it's true, right? And it says 223 PDFs, 52 PNGs, 30 CSVs, so on and so forth. So now with this, we're going to tell it, you can give it as many instructions as you like, or you can be as broad as possible. So if you already have a way that you like organizing files, you tell it, this is the way I organize files. These are my clients, these are my projects, these are the folders that I use. I use the para method, whatever it is, and it'll do it. In this case, I'm going to be broad just because I actually want it to, okay, so I don't have the prompt here. So I'm just going to be broad because I wanted to see how it interacts with the files and how it does what it needs to do. So what I'm going to tell it right now is, please organize. As you can see, I am always very, I am always polite with AI, yeah, in case it rises. You know, if Skynet is true, then it'll know that I'm not against it. Here, you do want to tell it, do not erase or move anything yet. Just give me the plan. Just in case it, hallucinates or goes wild. So now, here in Cowork, you can see if you're a little bit of a nerd like me, you can click here in the thought process, and you will see exactly what it is thinking, the command that is running, etc. And you will see some stuff here on the right, also when it's creating stuff or updating some of the files. And so right now it's thinking and it's going through all of the files to gather a little bit more context and then actually come up with a plan that it's going to show me, and then I'm going to tell it whether to do it, to follow it or not, or if I want to do any edits. So yeah, that's still thinking.
Is there a reason you use Claude versus something else?
Because of Cowork. So right now, Manus already did their desktop app where you can use the computer. ChatGPT also did it, but the first one was Claude, at least one of the big ones, right, that did it. And because they created Claude Code, and Claude Code, they basically told it to run solo and create like a user interface for this. And Claude Code created Cowork for people that are not that technical, like myself. I'm beginning to use Claude Code, but honestly, this is just better. It's got a user interface. And the thing is that it's local, so you can sandbox it. It still, of course, uses an internet connection to send back and forth to use the model, but it just runs on your computer. So thankful for that, because that reminds me, if you're using this on your desktop, you're not going to have this on the memory in your laptop, because it is not Claude Chat. So anything that you do on the desktop app that is Claude Chat, it does live in the cloud. So you can just do it and just be able to access that in any other computer. When it's Cowork, it's in your computer, so it's not going to be available anywhere else. I learned that the hard way. So right now it's still thinking. So as you can see, it says writing file organization plan, May 19, 2026. If you see that the outputs have a date, it's just because I actually told it to put all of the dates every single time that it does an output. It's easier for me to find what I'm looking for later on with those dates. So yes, allow.
And this is an annual subscription?
It's monthly or annual. Yeah, you could run it either way. So here's the plan, finally. It's because we're about to do the 6 minutes. So 8 folders to sort everything: finance, growth right business, that's me, outbound and lead data, client work, learning and reference, personal, media and creative, tools and plugins. So just for the sake of argument here, let's say that this is exactly how I wanted to organize it. So I'm going to tell it to just go and do that. So again, this is the file, like this is the folder. So you can see everything here is just unorganized there. So yes. Execute it. And so now it's going to take all of those files, which it already read, as you can see, like it divided it into my business, personal, finance, outreach data, etc. So it knows exactly what file is. It's not only taking from the titles, it's actually gone in and looked at what they are, and now it's gonna be putting it into those folders. So even if this does take longer than the demo, this is something that at least 450 files, I would probably take at least 2 hours to do this. And so with this one, you can just tell it to do it and just go out for a coffee, get on a client call, do whatever else that you need to do. And that's why I chose Cowork, because it actually acts more like an assistant. So like there's a study that came out last week where I think like 95% of people that use AI only use it as a chatbot, which is what it started, right? So we ask questions, it gives us answers. We ask questions, it gives us answers. Maybe sometimes we ask it, hey, please create this, or please check this file to see if there's anything there, but it's still you doing everything. With this one, you can just leave the workflow or the process there, and you can just go on about your day, and you can just put, hey, notify me when it's done. It'll ping, it'll make a sound, and then you'll know that it's there, but while you're still doing something else. Yep.
So let's say if the data relates to different clients.
Yep.
Is it organized in a clientele folder, and does it only go by folder file name, for example, and what are the possibility of errors?
You can tell it to run it different ways. Like I said, it's something where if you already have a way of organizing it, then it'll do it. You just need to tell it.
Because sometimes, for example, what happens, let's say I'm filing an Excel file.
Yeah.
And the file name is doc1, the other file is doc2. So it doesn't have a file name, but I know this doc1 is for one client, doc2 is for another client. So will it run through the spreadsheet itself to see the client name, or how does it work?
It goes, you can tell it to go as deep as possible. If it, let's say that the client name it's hidden somewhere, you can tell it just go as deep as possible. Usually, like I actually haven't told it, but what I've seen is that it goes and looks at like the headlines, the titles in the code, and that's what it does. I'm not a programmer, so that's at least, from my very small experience when it comes to code, that's what I think it does. But that's a really good question that I might need to go and look for. But if you look at my files, screenshot. There's a PDF here that they're all ESMTP. So image. So if you can see, like even the titles are not that easy to understand, right? And actually now it's at 190, so I can't show you the files that I wanted to show you. Now it's at 177 because it's now putting it into the folders if you look at the little number right here, which I wish I could make bigger, but I don't know how. So it's organizing it there. But what it'll do is it'll go into the file names if you tell it. And at this point, this Claude already knows to go inside, because the first time that I ran it, it was telling me I don't know a lot just on the file name. Based on the file name, I don't know exactly what it is. So like go deep, open it, and actually read it and organize it better. I think someone else raised their hand over there. Sorry, yeah?
So can I ask it to rename the file? So it's not just image number or something?
Yeah.
And another question, can I say something like, hey, every night 9 p.m. please go to my downloads and put in folders. Will it work overnight for me?
So I want to say yes, and here's a caveat. The problem is that with Claude Cowork, it runs in your computer. So the computer needs to be on. So if you're gonna tell it to, hey, every single, like at 2 a.m. every single night, go and do this, it needs to be on. So you need to keep your computer on all day for it to work. So one of the things that I said a couple of minutes ago was that you could just leave it and go grab a coffee, go do a sales call, right? It only works if you leave the computer on. If your computer has the turn off after 5 minutes and it's working, it's gonna shut off. It's like the process is not gonna end. So it's not gonna finish. So that's why you need to keep it up. I do have some automations running just on Claude Cowork, where every day at 8 a.m. it tells me what emails I have. It tells me everything that's important. And like I said, you can sandbox it. So at least for Gmail, if you want this to work with Gmail, you want to connect it, hey, read all of my emails, tell me which emails are important, and draft responses for it, it's sandboxed so that it will write the email, but it won't send it. So that's a good thing, at least with the Gmail connector. But for automations, everything that you need to do that, it needs to be on. So now, this is what it ended like. So now we have 173 files with finance, 64 growth right, 32 outbound, and so on and so forth. So now if you look at the folder, now it's actually organized. So now no more 450 files. And if we go in, we can actually see the subfolders. So it didn't give me the plan for the subfolders, but as you can see here, all of them have subfolders. It's even more organized than it originally told me it would be. So I guess I only have a few more minutes, but this is what I wanted to show you guys when it comes to Cowork. Honestly, it's one of my favorite tools right now. I know that it's scary to give your data, especially if you're dealing with clients' data, to LLMs. So if you're doing that, please do use a team or a professional account, go into settings and say, hey, please do not train the model on my data so that it's a little bit, so that the privacy settings are the correct ones. But as you can see, this one, maybe putting them into the 10 folders would have taken me 2 hours. Putting them into all of the subfolders would have taken me a whole day, to be honest. So this is one of my favorites because of that. And I'm glad that you guys chose it because it's something that's very visual when you can just see go from 400 files to 10 folders. Yeah, Rubik?
How much is the annual Claude desktop?
Desktop is free with the subscription. So if you have the $20 plan or the $100 plan or the $200 plan. Huh?
So the $20 monthly plan, you can do that?
So it used to, 2 weeks ago, they said that they were testing the new pricing strategy. So Cowork, the desktop disappeared from the $20 one, but they said, oh no, we're only testing it with a few people. So I haven't checked it. I have the max one. But it also said that if you had Pro before that change, that it does include it. So 21 that has Pro, that's a good yeah.
Can you get Claude on the cloud and just let it access your laptop as opposed to going to a desktop? Why do you say Claude desktop? What's the point there?
Because Cowork only runs on your computer, the chat does not. And so with Cowork, you can sandbox it and say, only use this one folder. And so it only go to that folder and not do anything else. So even if it does go, I have it, do not delete anything unless I tell you. Even if it goes haywire and it deletes everything, it's only doing it in that folder. So for this presentation, and it's something that I would recommend to everyone, whatever folder it is that you want to run this on, duplicate it. So you still have the first one. No, the first time it is. The first time it is, because you don't know if it's gonna, you're scared about that. So I did that. I did do it, so I duplicated it, and then it just went great, and now I don't have it duplicated. So hopefully it won't go haywire and erase all my files. Like that, one Meta business developer, one Meta, I don't know, head of AI that gave access to OpenClaw and it erased all of her emails. But that was another tool. So anyway, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Any other questions before? Yeah?
I know you did not say, please execute it.
Damn, so Skynet's gonna come back for me, sorry.
Does it work with SharePoint? Is that what you can run it like that, or it has to be installed in
I would love to answer your questions, but I've never used SharePoint. So I don't know how to answer that one.
How do you tell Claude not to use the data for training?
You have to go to settings, and you have to just, on settings and privacy and data, there's an option that says, do not use my data to train the model. Also, when it's Teams, usually when you have a Teams account for your company, that comes by default in most of the LLMs. If it's a Teams one. If it's a Pro and you have 6 Pro accounts instead of Teams for 6 people, then you have to go into each one and do that. And last question? No? Okay, awesome. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the questions and paying attention. And then just for anyone that wanted to see any of the other workflows, you can just email me or DM me. I actually made a video for each one of the workflows. So if you want, I can just send it to you guys. And that's it. Thanks so much.